Street Fighter is today's subject for Laser Review. Today I'm going to be looking at one of the most iconic fighting game's latest iterations, and see if it's worth your time and money. Let's go. Now currently, the story in Street Fighter V doesn't really exist, but it's going to exist sometime in June. At the moment, we have this sort of arcade mini-story hybrid that goes through each character's stories, giving you a sort of brief summary of what happened in the character's life or what's currently happening. The story in Street Fighter V at the moment isn't anything to write home about or praise. In fact, it's actually quite lackluster. The way a character's story usually goes is it's strung together using in-engine cutscenes, artwork, and voice acting, but the story really isn't what you should be buying Street Fighter V for. The graphics and sound in Street Fighter are really good. The graphics have definitely taken an upgrade from its past iteration of Street Fighter 4. Ryu no longer looks like a caveman and Ken doesn't look like He-Man, though Ken has seen better days. This time around they went with a more clean clay look and got rid of the heavy inked outlines and shading. Everything in Street Fighter V looks clean and sharp, from its menus to its UI down to the character select. The soundtrack this time around for Street Fighter trades its techno-inspired, heavily synthesized music for a mix of different genres that reflect on each character's personalities and traits. My favorite themes in the game have to be Necalli, Karin's, and Ryu's, mainly because they represent the characters so well. Necalli's got a really dark and evil presence in his theme. Karin's got a pretty modern and jazzy theme that represents a little bit more of her alpha appearance. And Ryu sounds like he went from traveling warrior to world savior. Moving on to gameplay, we can finally get into the real meat of the game and what it's really all about. Now this is a new one in this topic of the review. This time I'm going to be talking about the fighting systems, characters, and modes that are available in the game, starting off with the fighting systems. Street Fighter has always been that type of game that you have to have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of execution just to get the hang of, and if you don't have those things, you might not have as much fun as you thought you would at first. But this time around, they simplified it to make the game way more accessible to everyone, removing a good portion of the charge inputs, making combos easier to do, and adding the universal V skills and V triggers. Now a big part of Street Fighter V are the V skills and V triggers. Every character gets to use them, and they have different effects for each character. Now a V skill is a unique move that you can do just by pressing both medium buttons, and a V trigger is a buff to your character or a new move they can perform once their V-trigger bar is full. You can do this by pressing both heavy buttons. This whole V system adds so much more flavor to the game, and it makes trying out new characters way more fun. There is also an anti-pressure system called V-reversal that will counter-attack when done while blocking attacks. The characters in Street Fighter this time are old and new. Characters like Rainbow Mika, Charlie Nash, and Karin coming from the Alpha series, along with series staples like Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li, fight a new generation of characters including Laura, Rashid, and F.A.N.G. In total, the roster for Street Fighter V is 8 classic characters, 4 returning characters, and 4 new characters, giving the game only 16 characters to choose from and play. And with more characters on the way, I think this is a perfect roster. The current modes in Street Fighter are Story, Survival, Training, and Online. You already know what Story is, so I don't need to explain that. Survival is a one-round fight-to-fight gauntlet that puts you against stronger and stronger CPU until you reach the boss. On completion of this mode, and its varying difficulties, you can unlock colors for the character you finished with. The training mode is Well, training mode. You train. And online is where you fight against other players around the world in ranked matches for LP, which stands for league points, and player matches for fun. You can also play in lobbies with friends and random players. At the moment, it's only one-on-one, but in this update coming this month, they're going to increase the number of players. This is not my first fighting game, nor is it my first Street Fighter, so I may see this game differently than others. I'm very hardcore into fighting games, and seeing that Street Fighter V is lacking content is not a problem to me. As long as it has a working online and interesting gameplay, I will always come back to it. Street Fighter also rewards loyal players for their dedication to the game and how much they play it with fight money. Fight money is an in-game currency used to buy costumes and DLC, and I love the fact that they did this because those that really want to play the game and spend all their time playing it can be rewarded for how much time they spent, versus those that pick up the game, play it for maybe 2 days, and then shelf it. This Street Fighter may not have that much to offer to people that just enjoy playing arcade mode and stuff close to that, but it will in the future. And if that's what you plan on buying Street Fighter V to do, then you might want to wait. But waiting comes at a cost. You'll lose valuable time to play the game and learn with everyone else, and grow as a player. Plus, it'll take twice as long to unlock everything without paying, and it just seems like a big lose waiting on extra modes and features. As of now, the only cons to the game are rage quitting and ranked. Unlocking all the colors is really hard. There's no hitboxes or hurtbox option in training mode, and playing with lag is literally worse than Donald Trump wanting to become president. As for my final thoughts, I highly recommend getting this game. If you're new to fighting games, it's a good opportunity to try and learn. They've made it accessible to new players as much as they possibly could, and it won't hurt to see what all the hype is about.